That's a little bit bright. All right, welcome to another Redhawks Report podcast episode. Now, this is number 4, um, and it's been a while. I haven't done a single episode in a couple of months, mostly because I just, um, one, didn't have the time, and two, I felt like, I lost a little bit of motivation, but we have a lot of things to talk about right now. I'm recording this Tuesday night, November 5th. We're in the first international break. For those of you who don't know, the SHL season and the European season, for the most part, I think all European leagues do the same thing. There's 3 parts. So you have the first chunk of games up until the November break, which is where we are now. And then you have the middle part between the November break, which will be from November 12th, I believe. Yes, this is where we have the break. November 12th. And then I do think it's up to like February 4th or something like that. The February break is the second international break of the year. And the last part of the season, the third part of the season, is after the February break into the playoffs. And then usually there's an international break also in May for the World Cup tournament. Now, that is usually after the regular season ends, so there's no actual break for most for any team. Basically, those who are available will play in the international tournaments, and those who are still in playoffs will play playoffs. So we are right at the November break. So this is the table. This is the standings, I should say. We have Frölunda. They've been really good this year. They've found their feet quite a bit. 9 wins on regulation, 3 overtime wins, 0 overtime losses. That means they're 3 for 3 when it goes to overtime, and 4 regulation losses. They have a great form, 5 wins in a row, maybe more, but that's what it shows. It shows the last 5 games. Second is the newcomer, Brynäs. Now, most people expected Brynäs to be at the bottom or at the middle part of the standings because that is what is normal. Normally, you don't go from a promoted side to being a top team, but they have truly. I mean, Malmo has already faced them twice at this point, and the first one up in Gävle was very tight. They won it 2-1, I believe, on shootout or something like that. And then we had a bit of a situation. The second game we faced them so far was at home for Malmö, and it was 3-1. And then going into the last minute, Malmö scored twice in like 30 seconds. And then with like 14 seconds to go, the ref calls a penalty shot. And we are many who agree that that was kind of not the right call. You know, you need to have a bit more feeling for the game than that. But yeah, obviously that penalty shot went in. Silverberg is still a very good player. He's not as good as he was 2012, but nobody would expect him to be that. But he's been very good, and obviously he scored on that penalty shot, and that was it. They won 4-3 on regulation instead of going to overtime. So, you know, they've been very good, and they've been very good against other teams too. Like you see here, 4-3 away to Malmö, 3-1 at home to Timrå. They lost to Frölunda, but that's the only loss in 5 games. So they've been very good too. You can see here they have more overtime games, but they are 4-1 on the overtime. So they're at 30 points. Örebro, another team that was expected to be at the bottom. Honestly, a lot of people put them as qualifying right down here. But they've been actually very good too. They've been picking up a lot of points, especially recently. And I think that has a lot to do with their coach, Niklas Eriksson. He went to a GM role is it 2 years ago or last year? I don't know. I don't follow the team that closely. But a few years ago, Örebro was a top 6 team or top 4 team even. And then he moved to a GM role and they brought in another coach. And then the team started falling off. Now, obviously, he went back to being the head coach, left his GM role, and they're back in the top. I don't think that anyone would have expected this to be the top 3 trio, because Färjestad and Skellefteå was expected to be the top 2 teams. Obviously, this will change. I mean, we're just over a fourth into the season, I believe. For it's 52 games, so 26, 13. So 13 games is a 1/4 of the season, so just over a 1/4. So we have a lot of games to still play, but having Växjö as another top team previously, they've been struggling. They've been down over here. Timrå was a top 6 team last year, been dropping off a little bit. Rögle was down here. But yeah, it's what is pretty clear though. It's kind of funny because if you look at the points, right? Disregard the 17. Luleå played one less game, but overall, 16 games is what we played, and you can see here there's like 3 points gap there. Then there's 1 point between each team here until you get to 9-10, and there's another point down to Linköping, then another point down to Malmö Redhawks in the 12th place. Now, 12th place is the last, like the top 12 stay in the league, right? 13th and 14th play a series of 7 games, and the loser gets played out, as they call it, the play out. So, and has to play in the second tier league. Now, you can see here already we're just over 1/4 of this of the season, right? You can already see 2 teams are struggling massively, and there's 7-point gap down to HV71. I know they have one game in hand, but honestly, they're really, really struggling, as was expected. Honestly, I wasn't expecting them to be. People were expecting them to be over here. I was expecting them to be at the bottom 4, which they are. Clearly, they're going to be playing qualifying games again. They qualified and stayed up this past spring, and Muro is they got promoted 2 years ago, so this is their second season, and it's always when you're promoted, every team has to go through that second season. That is very tough because now you don't have any surprises anymore. So 11 points and 14 points. I mean, it's still 7 points up, and if you look at Muro, they are 10 points up to a safe place. So they're really struggling. Other than that, Skellefteå obviously is struggling. They have 4 straight losses. Other than that, it's a very mixed bag, and then you have mostly wins so up here. But yeah, this is what it looks like. Now, if we look at the results, right? I was going to show you the results. So let's have a look at our results so far this season. It's been very up and down. Very much up and down. Okay, so we started here. We won with a resounding 4-1 in the home premiere. It was like, what? 4-1 against the reigning champions? What is going on? But we were looking really good. And then we went up to Angelzik. Got our asses handed to us. 5-1. Then we lost 3-0 at home to Växjö. Not good. Then we went play our rival game against Rögle. Won 4-3 on shootout, I believe it was. It doesn't show me, but yeah. Oh, yeah, it shows here. Okay. And then, again, we usually lose to Luleå. Every game, pretty much, we lose to Luleå. Now, we managed to win on overtime, which is good. We went to Gothenburg, lost to Frölunda on overtime. Then we went. Then we won. What is it? Let's see. Then we won versus Linköping at home, 3-2. Then we won also against HV71, 4-2. And then we had the very, very tight game where it was 1-1 after 3, and then they won it in overtime pretty resoundingly. And that was fine. I was like, okay, that game could have gone either way. We lost it in overtime. Overtime is what it is. It's 3-on-3. It's very much, one mistake and you're dead in the water pretty much, right? Then we had the big loss, 8-3. This is ridiculous. This is defense. You can't defend this. You need to have more pride than this to let it go this far. Right? This is where I was like, we usually win against Färjestad. That's the thing, right? We usually have pretty good games against Färjestad. Then we lost at home to Örebro, and I was like, ugh. And then we go to Timrå, and I think we were down. Yeah, we were down 2-0 early on, and then we came back, and then we lost it again, and then we came back, and then we lost it again, and then we came back, and then we win it on the shootout. I was like, ooh, that shows real good character. Maybe we found something here. And then we go to Leksand on that away trip, and we don't score a goal. Honestly, we don't score a goal. Now, don't get me wrong. Hellsten is one hell of a goalie, but he's a rookie, okay? He's a rookie. So you should at least be able to score one. If we would have lost that 2-1, fine. It was a tight game too, but you need to score more goals. That's the bottom line. And then we had this very harsh penalty shot that decided the game 14 seconds to the end. You can see here in the last 2 minutes of the game, we go from being down 2 goals to equalizing, and then this happens. And it is what it is, but it's just really frustrating. And this is not the first time either. You see, there's been other really odd calls from the refs, and I'm not saying that the refs are perfect. They're not perfect. No player is perfect either. But what I'm saying is when there's blatant game-deciding calls that puts the refs in focus, that's where it becomes a problem, right? So, and this is not the only thing either. One time, okay, twice in a row, because it was not just one game. It was like 3 games in a row where it was really odd calls. Now, we go to Linköping, and we don't score a goal. So scoring is a problem now. We used to be scoring quite a bit before. Like, most of the games we were at least scoring. Our defending was a bit sketchy, and our goaltending was a bit sketchy, but at least we were scoring goals, right? Now we're struggling to score goals, and I'm like, oh, yeah. But the last game before the break, we score 31 seconds into the game. So we're like setting a precedent here. Like, you're not going to come in here and win like you did last year. Last year, they were really, really good. They, I think it was Mikkel Orgold. He scored a hat trick, and they won 4-3. It was really painful to watch. This time, they come to Malmö Arena and they get their asses whooped. Especially this goal was really nice. Maybe I can... Is there a video of it? Is there any video? No? Okay. I guess you'll have to look on my channel. For those not watching on YouTube, the YouTube channel is Redhawks Report. You can go to the highlight reel of Malmö Muro, and watch especially that last goal, the 3-0 goal in power play. That was really, really nice. It was probably a variant that they've been practicing. But yeah, so a little bit up, a little bit down, a little bit here, a little bit there. We also have a goalie situation which worried me quite a bit, because when we started the season, we had our number one starting goaltender injured. He had only played 2 games in the preseason, so he wasn't even like playing any games in the preseason really. One of them was cut short, I believe, only 2 periods because of the ice, because they were at a place where the ice was really bad. Anyway, that's beside the point. So he was injured and he was out for a while. They bring in Henry Kiviaho, and I really liked him. He was really good. He had a really good save percentage. He was really calm, he felt really stable in net, right? But Kolla kept playing Marmelind, and Marmelind kept getting scored on 5-hole and just getting scored on like silly goals that he should have saved, let's be honest. And it's not that I'm bashing on him like last year. Last year was pretty horrible at times. But Marmelind has been good, don't get me wrong, but there's been some tendencies, right, to where it goes downhill, right? And then you have Kiviaho warming the bench. And I'm just thinking, like, why not play the hot hand? If you have a temporary goalie who's running hot and you play the other goalie who's running not so hot, you know what I mean? So I'm a big supporter of Thomas Kollar, but I have to call this out. And I guess it's Nilstorp who makes the decision, the goalie coach. But come on, play the hot hand. You need to play the hot hand. We need the goaltending. We need the goalie that can be standing on his head and make those saves and win some games for us and be the difference. Right. Now, Marek Langhammer is back from injury. Okay, he's been good. If you look at statistics, actually, he's been well over 90%. Not that that's the bar for him. He's a starting goaltender. He's a national team goaltender, no less. Let's see here. If we look at Langhammer, he is, what is he, 93 something on a season, 92-11 and 205 GAA. He's only played 3 games, but he's got 1 shutout, 92.11 save percentage, 205 GAA. So good start. Definitely a lot better than what he was doing in Oskarshamn last year. More to the point where he was in Ilves in Liga, where he the last season in Liga he played 49 games. That's a heavy workload. 92.18 save percentage, and he had 1.85 GAA and 8 shutouts, no less. So he was brilliant. So something must have happened last year. But he's been looking good. So I'm very hopeful on the goalie front. Let him play the vast majority of games and rotate in Mamalind when he needs a rest, right? When we have 3 games a week, you need to play every other game, for example, or something like that. So there's a bit of a balance. And Mamalind becomes better when he's not playing every single game. Mamalind is better when he is not the starting or expected number 1, when he has to fight for that number 1 spot. So it's a win-win situation for literally everyone. What else? Let's see. So going through the roster highs and lows. I guess we have to touch on. So I touched on the goaltending. I touched on the highs and lows of the season so far. I think we have to talk about Carl Passon. Now, Carl Passon, if you look at him, I'm going to bring up elite prospects here. We look at his... Oops. Just bringing this up on screen. For those of you who are just listening to this, give me one moment and I'll tell you what I'm seeing on screen. So we're on the EP page of Carl Passon. Now, he's 29 years of age. He's still young. And he's been here since 2018, 2019, when he came back to Sweden from the Atlanta Gladiators in ECHL, right? And that first season, he played 35 games, 7 points, right? That was not what we expected from him. We got him from Karlskrona, where he had 13 goals and 11 assists for 24 points. Now, that's half a point a game almost. That's really impressive, right? Now, so 7 points in 35 games and only 1 goal from a goal scorer. That's a bit concerning. He then had 8 goals, 5 assists. He had 8 goals, 12 assists in the shortened season 2021, and then 25, 26, 32 is the last 3 seasons. Now, he's been increasing the amount of goals he's been scoring. So 11, 13, and now last year, 15 goals in 51 games. He is at 16 games. He scored 1 goal. That's not good. He's a goal scorer. He's in our top 6. In Sweden, we don't really have the same like top 6, middle 6, bottom 6 thing that we have in the NHL, but I would still, the top 2 lines, there's usually top 2 lines or even 3 lines or even all 4 lines in some cases that are expected to score, right? And he scored 1 goal. And it's a bit confusing. His trajectory, has been upwards for the last 4 years, ever since COVID, basically. He's been going from 20 points in 42 games, 25 points in 52 games, 26 points in 52 games, 32 points in... So that's a big jump, 26 to 32. That's a big jump. 32 points in 51 games, and now 1 goal and 0 assists in 16 games. They need to do something. And they did. Actually, if we look at the starting lineups of the last game against Muro, he was playing with Hendemarken Olofsson, a familiar surrounding, and he was doing pretty good. He was rated, according to Flash Score, he was rated a 7.0, which is good. It's not great, but it's pretty okay. And didn't score any points, but yeah. Now, our problem is, if Carl Passon is not scoring any goals, if we have these expected players that we've brought in. So Happala and Ikonen are basically the replacements of Kokkanen and Pajuniemi from last year. Now, they have not been delivering. If you look at Joona Ikonen, He's been scoring. He's been -1 and -2. He's not been scoring any goals or any points at all. Last time he scored a point was Lulio in early October. He had a great first game. The home premiere, 1 goal, 1 assist. Boom. And he had an assist in the home game versus Luleå. But other than that, he hasn't been scoring a single point. Now, obviously, they are not the same player type, but you would expect these players to deliver, and they haven't. And that's a problem. So who is going to do it instead? Now, if we look at the others, so we have Öberg. Öberg has not been delivering either. He's a goal scorer, expected goal scorer. He's been 2 seasons ago he scored 17 goals for Örebro. He scored 1 goal. No, he scored 2 goals and 1 assist in 16 games. That's not good. And that's why he was in the 4th line. He was put in the 4th line with Forsberg and Stenberg. I don't know why Stenberg is in the 4th line, but Stenberg is also struggling quite a bit. He had a great game against Rögle, but other than that, he's been very up and down. Although I will say he is 19 years of age. It is concerning because he wants to take that step to the NHL. I don't see that he's ready to do that in a year's time. Right now, as of right now, he's not. He's not bad most games, but he's not contributing enough. Certainly a concern. Now, he's not. The weight shouldn't be on him. Like, there should be more established players that are taking the brunt workload. But yeah, we have some concerns that we need to deal with. But what interestingly, the GM came out and said that we have 4 more even lines this year. Instead of having 1 first line, we have basically we have basically built the roster a bit different this year, where the main scoring will come from the defense. And that is true. If you look at the defense, especially if we look at, let's see. So we go to Malmö Redhawks. If you look at stats, the top scorer is Robin Salo. 10 points, 3 goals, 7 assists for 10 points in 16 games. You have Lasse Thompson, 5 goals, 4 assists for 9 points in 16 games. Interestingly, Robin Salo is still a -2, and Lasse Thompson is a ±0. Robin Hansel is the first forward. He has scored 3 goals and 6 assists for 9 points. So we're getting, and after that, in terms of wingers, we have Nikola Pasic, scored 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points. We have Henrik Happala. Henrik Happala has not scored a single goal in 15 games. He has 8 assists in 15 games. Now, interestingly, a player that I would have expected to be an extra forward at best, starting the season, has been Axel Sundberg, and he's been the surprise this year. He scored 5 goals and 1 assist, 6 points in 16 games. Now, that might not sound impressive, but he had 0 points from about Christmas to the end of the season last year when he came to us from Örebro. He didn't score a single point. So that, the bar of expectation was pretty low. Now, obviously, I would expect more from Linusa by Juna Ikonen. I would expect more from Carl Persson. I would expect more from, let's say, Henrik Happala. He needs to score a goal, seriously. Fredrik Hendemark has scored 4 goals and 2 assists, 6 points in 16 games. That's okay, I guess, but not more than okay. Jakub Galvas has been one that I've been criticizing because I don't think that he contributes enough, but he's scored 4 points in 12 games as a defender. So it's clear that our defensemen, like if you look at our defensemen, they've been contributing quite a lot of points. Like 10 points on Ruben Salo, 9 points on Lasse Thompson, but those are in the same D pair. But if we look at the other ones, every single defender has a point, at least 1 point. So they've clearly changed things up where forwards are less in focus when it comes to scoring. Now, concerningly, Thomas Berg Paulsen has been injured so far this season, and he is expected mid-November. Undisclosed injury. We don't know. I think it was something about lower body injury, so that can be anything really, but probably a muscle or something like that. It takes a bit of rehab. But yeah, going forward, we need to work on the scoring and the points productions from forwards. The defensemen have been contributing quite well. We need to be better in the PK and power play. Power play has been looking okay recently. PK has been very up and down, and at some points, very, very bad. We can even take a look at that. Let's see. Can we see the stats for the season? Maybe not. Player stats, goaltending stats. I don't think we can do that here. So I think we need to move on from that. But I did touch on the lows individually. The positives are, I did touch on that as well. That is, goaltending is less of a worry now with Langhammer back. Unfortunately, Henrik Kiviaho has signed contract elsewhere, but we couldn't keep him anyway. He was on a short-term contract here to cover for Langhammer. So, yeah. Things that need to be worked on, yeah, pretty obvious. Touched on that also. Don't know what else. I'm gonna just remind myself real quick here. Anything else? Because I am doing this just on the top of my head, really. Right. We can conclude. We can in closing, the podcast future. Now, so it's been a while, and depending on what happens, I may or may not continue this. I don't know yet. I will say, though, I have found new motivation to do this and talk about things. Hopefully, I mean, it depends on your responses, really. If you like it, if you want to hear more, let me know on Twitter, preferably. Let me know in the comments on YouTube that you want to see more, that you like it. Give it a thumbs up, stuff like that. Show me that you like it, and I will do more episodes during the season. But yeah, it's looking positive still. Like, don't focus too much on where we are in the standings right now. Focus more on, we've been in a bit of a hole, but we're on the trending trajectory upwards. Right. So, and we have a healthy points difference down to the qualifying spots at the very bottom. So yeah, I will end it there. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or somewhere else, thank you so much for listening. And on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Give it a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye for now.